Today I'm going to show you how to make an illustrated scene completely from scratch using Affinity Designer 2 on the iPad, just using vector shapes, and it's much easier than it looks, so let me walk you through it. Now before we dive in, you do not need to be a professional illustrator or even a proficient illustrator to do this project. The whole point of today is just having fun with the vectors and to see what you're capable of creating with them. So what we're making today is this little mountain lake scene with this cute little fox, and if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, that is totally fine. The point is to have fun and it's not to be perfect, so if you're having fun, you're doing it right. We're going to use a reference photo as the base of our illustration, taking a photo and tracing over top of it like an artist does. Even a photo is owned by someone, so you want to make sure what you're getting is royalty free, especially if your image is recognizable as that reference photo. If what you make is transformative enough, sometimes what you make is not recognizable as that reference image, but when you're tracing over top of it, it can tend to be a little bit more recognizable as what you took it from. So just to make sure we can use our image freely, I'm going to get my reference photo from a royalty-free website like Pexels or Pixabay. You can just choose your favorite one. So what we're actually doing is finding a photo that we can borrow the composition and angles from, and this is especially helpful if you're a beginner illustrator or just a beginner artist in general. Since we're going to use a royalty-free, we're going to be free to use this one. Using reference photos for the composition is an excellent way to learn the skill of composing an image so that one day maybe you don't have to do this step at all and you can start composing your own illustrations. So I'm just choosing a photo that fits the subject matter that I want to make. So I'm looking for a scenic mountain over water with some trees, and then I'm going to be creating an original character in this scene. So I'm just trying to find an image that really fits what I have in mind, what I want to make. I'm going to use this image and then save it to my Files app. So now that we have our picture, we can start making our illustration. So I have a color palette that I'm going to use, and I've linked it down below, as well as the photo that I'm using, so that you can use the same colors and the same photo for your project. I'm going to go ahead and open up Affinity Designer and get started. So to create a new document, I'll just tap on New, then New Document, and choose Social Media Portrait Post. I'm just going to make sure that it's also in portrait mode or the vertical orientation. That way it'll be the perfect size if I want to post this to my Instagram later. Next, let's import our image so that we can trace it. So I'll go to the document menu, then Place, and then find the image where I saved it to, and then tap it into my document. I'm just gonna resize it and get the portion of the image I want, since the image and my canvas are not the same size. Plus, tightening up the field of view for my illustration will make this a little easier to trace and help the final design feel a little more focused and intentional, instead of trying to fit every detail from the original image into the composition. It's kind of a lot for such a small space. From here, we could start building the vectors that make up our illustration, but I kind of want to simplify it for myself. So I'm actually going to make a sketch out of this image. So I'm going to trace over the image in a much more simplified way so I can turn it into the style of illustration I actually want to create. So rather than copying every detail, I'm focusing on simple shapes and clean lines and major forms that make the image more recognizable. This gives the artwork a more illustrated look instead of feeling like a vectorized photo. So first I need to turn down the opacity of the image. So I'm going to go to the layer stack, select my photo layer, and then tap here where it says 100%, and then I'll lower it to 50% or lower. Now I need to switch to the pixel persona so I can use a pixel brush to sketch in what I'm taking from this photo. So I'll tap on the persona icon up here in the corner, then choose pixel persona. Then in the layer stack, I will tap on this plus and add a new pixel layer. Then turn on the paintbrush tool. The color usually defaults to black, and then in the brushes, I'll make sure I have a pencil brush selected. Now I can start sketching the elements I'm taking from this image. So I'll trace in the mountains and the shore, and here is the tree line, but there are far too many trees, so instead I'll just use the tree line as a guide, but sketch my own cartoony simple trees. I also want more in the foreground, so I'm adding this dock, and this is where my original character is going to sit, and then add a tree and some bushes to create a kind of frame to it. Now I can sketch in my little character, so just using very simple shapes, I'm going to make a little fox, and he's going to be fishing off the edge into the water. So once I'm happy with my sketch, I can go ahead and just delete the image altogether. Now we can get to the best part, and that's building our vectors. So to build our illustration, we're gonna work back to front, and just to make things simple, before I switch back to the designer persona, I'm gonna create a fill layer as my background color using the flood fill tool and a new pixel layer. And then I'll just lock it to the bottom, and then I'll keep my sketch layer on top, reduce the opacity just a bit, and then lock it as well. Now we can tap on the persona icon and switch back to the designer persona. Like I mentioned, we're gonna work back to front. For the background elements, I'm gonna be using the pen tool. I want these shapes to feel very simple and angular, and I can create them by just tapping with the pen tool. Each time you tap, it creates a node, and the nodes are the points that define the shape and direction of your vector path. By placing different nodes, you can control where the lines connect, where the corners appear, and the overall shape of the illustration. Since I want this design to have a clean geometric look, I'm mostly using sharp corner nodes instead of curved ones. First, I want to add some variation to the sky, and we're only going to use a fill color. We don't want any stroke color for the large shapes we create. So for this, I'm going to choose a lighter color than the sky and just create a sort of streak across it. Now I can add some mountains to create a sense of atmospheric perspective, which is just kind of like the haziness you see like on a horizon. The farthest mountain can be more muted in color than the ones closer to us, so we'll just keep that in mind as we choose colors for the mountains. So now I'll add some detail to the mountain. I'm gonna add a few blocks of color across it to resemble patches of like winter snow that hadn't fully melted yet, now that it's like springtime. I'm just creating loose, simple shapes rather than anything overly detailed. To keep the color from extending beyond the mountain, I'll clip the layer of the mountain shape by dragging and dropping the layer on top of the mountain layer. Next, I'll create another large shape over the mountain to make it look like one side is in shadow, and I can even place the shadow shape over the snowy areas and then lower the opacity so that everything blends together more naturally. And even though the shapes are simple, layering values like this helps the mountain start to feel more dimensional and realistic. And I'll just repeat this method for the other mountains coming closer to the foreground, keeping in mind that atmospheric perspective and making the color slightly more vibrant as we get closer to the foreground. And I'm just grouping and batching these together so that everything stays organized. Now I want a simple tree line at the bottom of the mountains. I'm just gonna make a super simple, just kind of mound with spikes on top. And then just adding a few contrasting random shapes to imply some variation in the trees. Now I want to add the water. So I'll make a big rectangle shape at the bottom, and we'll add some reflections later, but I want to add the shoreline first so I know where the reflections are supposed to go. So now we'll work on the center ground of the image. Is that even a word? Did I make that up? I don't know. You know what I mean. Just the middle part. I'm gonna add this little mound in a brown on top of the water to create a shore. Adding some more shapes in a contrasting brown so that it creates a kind of variation in color. Now we're ready to create some trees. So I'll create some large fir trees. That'll be the backdrop of this little tree line. And it's just a simple tree shape, just using the pen tool and this evergreen color, starting at the top and then making a jagged edge, starting narrow at the top and then going down at an angle so that it creates that classic tree shape. I'm just gonna make the bottom flat and then repeat the process back up, making that jagged edge at an angle and then tapering it off at the top and reconnecting to the first node that I placed. So I'm just making one tree and then duplicating it across the tree line. And then to add a little more depth, I'll take this duplicate, give it a lighter green, and then reduce the size using the transform tool. Now I'll make another layer of trees in front and it creates that depth for us. Now to add a little bit of fun and use a different vector tool, I'm going to use this tier tool from the vector shapes. So I'll drag to create the shape using a brighter contrasting green, and then I can use these little red dots here to make any adjustments I want to the shape of the tree. Now I'm going to create a rectangle over half of the tree in a darker green and then clip it to the tier shape to create a shadowed effect. And for this tree, I'm also going to use the pencil tool in brown to make a trunk and some branches. Just a really narrow line, makes it simple, but I like the style. Then I'll go ahead and group these elements together and then just duplicate it and add more of them across the shoreline. You can even go into each of the group stacks and then adjust the colors if you like. And also, if you'd like, you can add these little bushes at the bottom. You don't have to, but it kind of makes the trees blend in with the ground a little bit better. In a few different greens, you can add these little rounded bushes. I'm going to use the pencil tool to make it freeform, using a green fill color again and no stroke color. Next, I want to add those reflections that I mentioned in the water. In a slightly darker shade of the watercolor, I just want to make some simple triangles to get the shapes of the trees, kind of like an impression of the trees. And then with a lighter color, make some light reflections and then add some white too. And just kind of scattering these around the top of the water to kind of make it look like it's rippling in the sun, but just kind of like an impression of it. This is just a fun kind of loose interpretation of what we would see in real life. So now we are finally to the foreground. I'm going to start with the dock. And for the dock, I'm going to keep the shapes very simple since this is more of a stylized illustration than a highly detailed scene. I'll start by creating the main platform of the dock. And I can do that by just tapping 4 points to create a long rectangle shape extending out into the lake. To help the dock feel more dimensional, I can add a slightly darker shape along the side to add some thickness. And then in the front, I can add a thinner vertical rectangle for the support post. Since this is vector art, I don't really need to perfectly draw every board or detail. Simple shapes and clean silhouettes will usually look better and keep the illustration more cohesive. But I do want to add an oval to the top so these look more like a post. Even with just a few shapes and values, it starts to feel really recognizable as a dock without becoming overly complicated. But I do want to use the pencil tool to make it look like there are slats or grains in the wood, and I'll add a little bit of needed detail. So now it's time to make our little character. So I'm going to use the pencil tool again to make our little fox, and I'm going to use just an orange fill color. So first up is the fox body, and I'm just going to do the shape of his head, his like main torso and his leg, because his arm and his tail are going to overlap, and I don't really want them one connected shape. But before I get to that part, I want to add the cream color of his mouth and chest. And I'm going to follow the inner edge, but I'm not being precise on the outer edge. Because again, I could just clip it to the main body, and the outer edge will take on the shape of that main fox body as it's clipped. Now I'll add his arm, adding the orange color first, and then creating that variation color on his paws, and then clipping it again. And the same exact method will be used for the ears and the tail. And I also decided to add a stroke line to a few of the fox's elements. It helps define some of the form without needing a lot of extra detail, and it's just an easy way to do it. And then I'll just use the vector pencil to draw in his features and some detail lines. And now that I know how my fox is placed, I can draw his little fishing pole, and it's just gonna be really simple shapes, just using a pencil tool again. Once I've drawn that, I'm just gonna group it together and place it behind the fox so it makes more sense. The last thing I want to do is create these little foreground elements that help frame the illustration and add more depth to the scene. And for these, I'm really just using all of the same methods we've already learned throughout this lesson. I'm building the shapes with a pen tool, making the silhouettes simple and stylized instead of trying to draw every detail of every leaf or branch. So for the tree, I'm focusing on the larger overall shape first and adding smaller shapes for clusters of leaves and shadows to give it some dimension. And the bushes are even smaller, mostly rounded organic shapes layered together with a few darker values to separate different sections, and adding some like contrasting leaves and cute little touches here and there. And since these elements are in the foreground, making them slightly darker and more detailed also helps push the mountains and lake further back into the distance. It creates that depth that you really need in your illustration. And even though these shapes are simple, they do a lot for composition because they naturally guide your eye back to the center of the illustration, where we would want someone to center their focus on our cute little fox. And now I think we might actually be done, and we built this all out of basic shapes in Affinity Designer. I really hope this showed you that making vector illustration doesn't have to be this big, intimidating project. It's just fun and making shapes and just kind of putting them together. And it can be really fun just seeing what happens. And using a photo to help you compose your image is so helpful, and it's a great way to boost your confidence when learning how to make illustrations like this. And I think it's because you're not just staring at a blank screen trying to guess where to start, you have something guiding you. And if you want to keep making illustrations like this one, be sure you watch this video right here where you can learn 10 Affinity hacks. These are tips that will make it easier to create professional looking vector art.